Today's show is supported by El Carafe Shrine in Clio, Michigan, and they're sponsoring a Sportsman's Raffle, which is held on April 23rd, 2022. Address is 4240 West Wilson Road, Clio, Michigan, 48420. It starts at noon. Ticket costs are $20 in advance, $25 at the door. One ticket gets you a shot at 100 different weapons. If you're interested in getting a ticket, please call 810-686-2641, or you can buy online at eksportsman.com. That is eksportsman.com. One ticket gets you a shot at over 100 weapons, and if you buy a booklet for $60, you get an extra ticket for a special drawing of 12 weapons or cash prizes. Please check them out online, eksportsman.com, or you can call 810-686-2641. Now back to the show. All right, good morning. Welcome to the Warrior's Way. I am your host, Isaac Walsh, and I am here with our Warrior of the Week, Jeremy Riley. Say hello.
Hello.
Good morning. We'll get to you in a minute. For those of you who just popped onto our show, I want to let you know that we work with nonprofits and people that do outreach in different areas in your county. So if you go to our website at spiritualwarfareunit.com, you click on to struggling, you'll go down there, and if you have a family or a friend or yourself who needs food or baby clothes or formula or whatever, you go on there, you click on to the sites to do those things. They call you. They will help you out for free. So if you just popped onto this, go to spiritualwarfareunit.com, click on the struggling, take a look at that while we're getting into it. All right, Mr. Riley, how we doing this morning?
Good, man. I'm awake.
Yeah, morning. So I know that you didn't get we had Donna's Donuts this morning, and I had a cream filled, and so my shit, I'm pegging right now. So we are right there. So my buddy Jeremy here, he is our Warrior of the Week. He is unique in the fact that you are a rock star. That's what I'm going with.
Okay.
So the word was yes. So tell everybody the name of your band.
It's End of I.
End of I, and tell everybody how you got that.
Well, it's interesting because God gave it to me long before the band actually even formed. It was probably a week after he called me out of my secular band. And I was actually driving to the store, and it's crazy. It's always this random stuff where God will just like plop something.
Yeah.
But the thought of end of me came to mind, and I just thought how profound that was, because that's the revelation the Lord gave me when he called me out. It was like, this was never about me.
Right.
And as I was driving to the store, I just kept meditating on it. And then when I got home, I wanted to Google it to see how many people had it.
Yeah, right.
And it was everywhere. And then,
of course,
okay, like, is there another way to say this?
Right.
And End of I came
End
to
of
mind.
I. Yeah, very Smashing Pumpkins kind of.
Yeah, you know well, what was amazing is I Googled it and it was nowhere.
That's awesome.
And I snagged it, opened up the Facebook page.
Yeah.
I didn't even have a band. I didn't even know what God was going to do.
Yeah.
I wasn't even a worship leader. I wasn't singing. I wasn't even part of a worship team yet, but I knew God wanted to use it. So I tucked it away. That was 12 years ago.
So that was not 12 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, man. Stop saying stuff like that.
Whew. Sorry, man.
That's a lot of gray there. All right. So now we know where we're headed to. So let's start at the beginning. So where did you grow up at?
In the rough part of town, east side of Davison.
Oh, yeah, that's very, very country.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of a very sleepy, nice town.
Yeah.
East side of town.
Yeah, I grew up, it's the outskirts of Davison, so it was like right where Davison, Burton, Atherton, and Grand Blanc.
So it's very country kind of area.
Oh, yeah, I grew up on a farm, man.
All right, so you grew up on a farm, and you went to Davison High School.
Yeah.
All right, and what years were you in high school?
I graduated in 93.
Oh, okay.
So, yep. So it's been a while. The cool thing is we also, I mean, that's where I grew up. My mom and my stepdad, that's where he lived. So that's where we all moved.
I got you.
But she had a lot of family in Flint. So we spent a lot of time in Flint. So we had a perfect balance of city and country life.
Gotcha. So when did you like start becoming musically inclined? When did that happen?
Oh man, I'll be honest with you. I knew from the time I think I was 6 or 7 that I wanted to play guitar, and I loved music. I used to stand in my bed, man, and just play on the ghetto blaster, grab my toy gun, and just play. I knew I wanted to play.
Yeah, you were G.I. Jam, baby.
Yeah, nice. That's good. I love that. But I knew then, and the thing is, my family, on both sides of my family, I have world-class musicians, man. You can't make that stuff up. I had nothing to do with that, but that's where God placed me.
Yeah, the DNA was what it was, right?
And it was there. And by the time I was 9, I actually got a guitar in my hand, and then that was all she wrote, man.
Yeah, so did you do like high school bands and all that stuff?
Never played in an official band till after high school, but I was in talent shows and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I honestly lacked a lot of confidence, man.
Yeah.
I'm just being real. That's what it actually slowed me down, because I could have been doing all that stuff. But
yeah, which is crazy knowing you now about lack of confidence. It just blows my mind that even comes out of your mouth.
Dude,
right?
We'll get to that, man. That's the lifelong struggle.
Yeah.
But, you know.
Yeah. No, I know. And it's a great story, right? That's one of the reasons you have such a wonderful story. All right. So graduated in 93. And then what did you do after high school?
After high school, I just kind of drifted a little bit, because all my friends, man, they were all going to college and getting their lives together. And here I was, I was popular in school because I could play guitar.
Yeah.
And I really wrapped my identity around that. But as soon as school was over, everyone was gone.
Yeah.
And I really got depressed and it just kind of drifted. And I ended up getting a decent job as a rental car manager, if you can believe that. And I did that for a while.
That qualifies as decent.
Yeah, well, after doing it, I'm not sure how I feel about it, to be honest
I wasn't going to roll that. Right. Yeah,
I'm just saying, nothing against it. But
it's low-hanging fruit.
Right.
I have to take a whack at it.
Yeah, that just tells you what the other jobs I had.
Yeah. So. The car
See, you're hitting the nail on the head.
Yeah, right. Listen, takes one to know one, right?
Yeah, dude.
All right, so you're doing rental cars, and you're how old about this time? 18, 19, 20?
20, 21. And I did that till 25.
Okay, and then what happened?
I got sick of doing it. I just got sick of, I just never really felt like that's what at the end of the day, I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a musician. I wanted to play guitar. I wanted to be in a band.
Right.
Because I've known, like I said, since I was...
Now, were you pursuing it during those times? Or did you put it down?
It was crazy because I had a little amp and electric guitar in my apartment, and I'd just go home and just play.
Yeah.
But I wasn't doing what I knew God created me to do. So no matter what I did, it didn't matter what my job was, dude. I was never really happy.
Right. I hear you. A lot of people hear you, bro.
It's going against the grain of who God created you to be. You got to pay attention to that.
Yeah.
But
so you're 25, 26, and then what happened?
Man, I went off the deep end, man. I quit that job, did some skilled trades, and I did that for a minute, like into a union hall, like actually got a really decent job, decent opportunity.
Yeah. But
then just got into drugs. Yeah. And that's where that started.
So how did that start? Like that's just what it was in that field?
Yeah, there's a ton of it. Anyone that's done any type, if you've hung drywall, hung around carpenters, whatever, that's kind of the thing. And so I actually quit that job and started hanging drywall with a guy that had just like his own little business. Yeah. And he was the singer of my first band that I got into.
Shut up. You just walked into the dude.
So yeah, like how we met was through a mutual friend. Okay. And this band formed. And now here I am. But I quit all my good opportunities to
Hold on, you're skipping over some stuff. Hold on. So you're hanging drywall for how long?
I think I hung drywall with Mike for about 2 years.
All right, and how long did it take between that and the band starting up? Like, what was that?
It was like almost instant.
No
Because
kidding.
I
Like, I
met-
like music. You like music. Let's go do it.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
like there was no thought into it. It was
Okay.
just like, let's just do
Just
this.
very
man.
spontaneous.
Yep. And that was my first opportunity, my first experience of being in a band.
All right.
And
So did you do like nightclubs? Like,
Yeah, we stayed pretty much in Flint. We did do a couple of Detroit shows.
Okay.
But it was pretty much around here back when Metropolis was.
Yeah.
We played Metropolis a lot.
Oh, and back in the day, Metropolis was the spot down.
It was.
Yeah, so you were in the place to
Yep.
be. Yeah. And so, okay. And so you're how old right now? You said you were doing that 2 years. So you're like 27,
Yeah.
28.
Yeah, 27.
Okay.
That's fair.
And so the band that you created was the one that you ended up going with. All right. And so you're 27, 28, and then how did that hit? Like, how did that happen? Because you guys got to travel quite a bit, right?
Yeah, well, like that particular band, we like I said, we did play around here and in Detroit, and then it became more of a party, and that's where I really started to drink.
So you were, instead of being like really hardcore music people, you became hardcore partiers.
That's what
and
it
the
was.
music became the background.
That's exactly what happened. And so it was destined to fall apart.
How long did that process go?
Man, I mean,
like fast, super fast?
pretty much. I mean, when I'm looking back, like from 25 to 27, that was pretty much the extent of that whole band. And the partying started right at the beginning and just got worse. But what was crazy is towards the end of that is when I met Nikki, who's now my wife.
Yeah, I wasn't stealing any of that thunder. So it was at the end of the partying at 27, 28.
Yeah.
Okay. And where did you meet her at?
So she ended up coming to one of my shows when I was playing in this band.
Of course she did.
And it was, well, let me tell you the story how I met her. This was crazy. My cousin, who I was hanging out with a lot at that time, he was going to, his girlfriend, baby mama, was getting ready to have a girls' night out. And he's like, man, I got to go check on her. And he did not want to go by himself. He like almost woke me up out of bed.
He needed a wingman.
He did. And of course, he's like, man, I'm going to buy you beers and all this. And I was like,
I'll take care of you. You just come. Gotcha.
So I said yes. And we hooked up, man. We went to Sharky's on Door Highway when that was still open.
Yeah.
And we ran into him, and she was with Nikki.
And was it like a whoa moment, or
It was.
was it really?
For both of us. And it's crazy if I got time to share a little bit about this, but she was, I mean, leading up to that moment, I was like, I'm not settling down. I'm in this band, I'm partying, I'm doing what I want to do.
Yeah.
And I met her, and I mean, she was absolutely gorgeous, man.
Yeah.
But she was 6 months pregnant, and the guy had left.
Oh.
But I didn't care. Like, I really didn't care. And I
Just struck you like lightning, huh?
yeah.
That's
And
awesome.
So we left Sharky's and went to a different place, a different pool hall, and where it was a little quieter. And we started talking. The first thing I asked her, I was like, because they were talking about she's going to have a boy. She already knew what she was going to have.
Yeah.
I said, so what are you going to name him?
Yeah.
And she goes, oh, I've already got his name picked out. I'm going to name him Riley.
No kidding.
And Frank, my cousin, looked at me and we just giggled.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, wow. Okay. That's cool, man.
Because she didn't know.
No,
Yeah.
none of us knew, that what God was doing.
Yeah.
God brought us together in the midst of this crazy part of my life.
Yeah.
And hers. She was in transition. She had to move back home.
It's like it almost has to be nuts to pay attention. Isn't that weird?
Yeah, that seems to be my life story, man.
I know.
He's got to shake me. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah, this is Isaac Walsh. He's got spiritual baby shaking syndrome. God's got to get a hold of me. He's like,
Dude, we need a support group for that.
right? No, he had to beat me down to get my full and undivided attention. So you meet her and you're 27, 28. And then, like, did that kick off quickly? Like, did you get married quickly? Did you date for a little while? Like, how'd that work?
It's crazy because as much of a mess as I was, there was something in me saying you need to pay attention to what's going on here. And even though I was still partying, I was still caught up in all that.
Yeah.
We took it slow, man. And I wasn't going to rush into trying to be the father of Riley because I just didn't feel like I was supposed to do that. Looking back now, I realized God had his hand on it, man.
Yeah.
Even though I was a mess.
Yeah.
There was godly wisdom there being, being.
Is there like a
used.
specific thing that happened? You're like, man, I remember this moment happened during that time and it got my attention, or was it just an accumulation of a bunch of little things that happened?
I think it was more of a accumulation of a bunch of little things. Like so, when we first officially we're dating. We're together. We didn't rush into it, like I was saying, and she ended up having Riley. I didn't force myself into that. I wasn't there in the room when he was born, but I came afterwards and everything. Right. And we just took it slow. She moved back to her mom. She started going to school, and I had, at this time I was living in my brother's apartment on his couch, man.
Outstanding.
Yeah, dude, I was a real winner, man.
Yeah, just taking care of business. Well, you know what? That is a perfect time to take a time out. So I want to welcome you guys to the Warrior's Way for checking in. If you have not checked out our website yet, go to spiritualwarfareunit.com. You can go on there, and if you have a nonprofit or church and you're looking for a life application class, you just go to Spiritual Warfare Unit and click onto our Proverbs classes and check those out. We will be with Mr. Riley right back.
I'm really impressed with the teachings that Isaac has been bringing to us, as this is all based from Proverbs.
I like it because it's simple, and it doesn't matter who you are. It's very easy to understand and apply to your life.
It points out, my bad parts, and but it's showing me how to do the good parts, and I'm trying to apply that and make a better life for myself because I'm tired of where I've been.
It's impacted a lot of the guys as they continue to talk and ask questions after the meetings, as they speak to one another regarding the meeting and the messages and the topics that are being brought up, which are down-to-earth topics of situations and things that we live with on a day-to-day basis.
He takes the Bible and he breaks it down into simple terms and where you can understand. And like I said before, sometimes a lot of churches, even the Salvation Army, sometimes we start using these big words that people don't understand, like even saying someone got saved. Well, what does that mean? What does it mean when you say someone got saved? And it's accepting Jesus into your heart. So it's like words like that we use that people don't understand.
It's just very interesting how he points out, the different things of, the sin part, and then he comes back with the, how to make it better, and he just points it out. It's there. I didn't know all this stuff was in there, but now that he's pointing it out, it's like, wow, I guess if you really dig into the Bible, you find these things.
This is a daily moral standards that we can live by, that the teachings are coming from. And honestly, we can take verse by verse as what he's done, and pretty much he's done the hard work for us and now laying it out so that we have an easier understanding.
There's some people who don't like to be in Bible classes, but this one seems to get their attention.
All right, welcome back to the Warrior's Way. Our warrior this week is Jeremy Riley, and his group is called the End of I. If you want to go check out some of his stuff that he's got, go to endofimusic.com. But we are here to meet the guy, and so we were just getting into the story of you and your wife and the baby being born. You chose to allow that to happen organically and take some time. So, and you're 27, 28, right in there. All right, so what happened next?
Well, what was crazy, and this is where God, I think, started to show himself a little bit, because up until that point, this is how I was living, just kind of by the seat of my pants. And then once...
Just experience to experience, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I set out to do that. I made up my mind. I'm like, that's what I'm going to do. And God's like, all right, go ahead. Have fun. Yeah.
See how that works out.
Right. And here I'm on my brother's couch.
Yeah, I'm couching.
But... so our relationship together, as it progressed, man, I started to do my best to get my life together, at least get a more steady job, start to save some money, get my own place.
Yeah.
And it happened.
Okay.
But what was crazy is while it was happening, I was still doing stuff. I was still partying.
Yeah.
I was still doing cocaine.
But it was like a normal thing at that point, though, right?
Yeah, I mean, for me it was, but I had to do it in a way to keep it from her, because she's got a kid,
yeah,
right, and and she's trying to get her life together.
Right.
And this is where I realized women are way more mature earlier on than
Yes.
guys.
Yes. I'm not sure that changes later.
No, my wife would probably agree with that.
Yeah,
But-
I know mine would.
But this is what was happening, you know. So now I was struggling with the addiction, and I wanted to quit deep down inside.
Yeah.
But man, trying to do things in your own strength, dude, I was on that hamster wheel.
Yeah.
So here I am. We're like 3 years in. I've proposed. I've adopted Riley. He's now my son,
Yeah.
and I'm still struggling with this thing on the side, man.
Right. You got a monster in a box,
Dude, and it's crazy. And it only got worse because I switched jobs, and for the first time, I got a job where now I'm working side by side with the Coke dealer.
Oh no.
Yeah. So now I didn't have to wait around to get it.
How did that happen?
Dude, I don't know who was responsible for placing me with this guy, but I have a pretty good idea. But I'll just tell you, man, when that happened,
Yeah.
that's when the addiction went through a whole nother level.
Well, yeah, because you're like, I'm on an up level. I beat that boss and I'm going to the next one.
Yeah, I graduated, dude, up to the whatever you want to call that. But man, it was nuts. And then for like 2 years, man, maybe a year and a half, I don't know exactly, but
Yeah.
I got to a point, dude, where I was, and I'm just averaging this out. Okay,
Yeah.
I don't know, give or take maybe 100 or two, but I was snorting probably around $400 or $500 a week up my nose, and I was hiding it.
Wow.
So
To be able to hide that's fairly impressive.
yeah, and
I mean, it's gotta
and very costly. The interest rates for cash advance are, I'm just here to tell you, are
They're huge. That 18 to 24% starts to kill you, right?
dude.
Wow.
I'm telling you, man. That's how I did it.
Wow.
I was
Always
borrow-
robbing Peter to pay Paul, huh?
flat out,
Man. So when's the come to Jesus moment? Like, when does that happen?
dude. So
Because you had to be stressing out of your mind.
I was living your life that way, and having to lie to cover up another lie, to cover up another lie, to cover up another lie is no way to live, man. And it probably aged me internally in ways that
Yeah, the inside of your body's like 60.
man, when I hear people talk about, struggling with it, those feelings still come back, man.
Right.
God, I'm thankful for that because I never forget what that felt like. But it got to a point where I got out of work one day, and I called Nikki, and I'm like, "Listen, I'm going to go pick up a couple movies for us tonight, and I'll be home. Give me an hour."
Yeah.
As soon as I hung up that phone, the guy that I was hanging out with called me. He's like, "Hey, I just hooked up," and I went, "You talking 3:30 in the afternoon, bro?"
Yeah. You just took a detour.
And just turned right around and went to that guy's house, and I was there till about 3 a.m. And at this point, I'm like wigging out, because when at this point,
You
cocaine,
can't cover that one.
no, and she was blowing up my phone, and I
for
was just
sure.
like putting it away. I didn't want to answer it, man.
Right.
So
That fear, right?
oh man,
God
dude.
almighty.
And what was crazy is I finally mustered up enough courage to get in my car and start driving towards my house. And I got on 69, dude, just flying towards Davison because I lived in Windsor Place Apartments at the time.
Yeah.
And I remembered as clear as, 30 minutes ago.
Yeah.
I passed like Center Road, getting closer to Davison.
Yeah.
And dude, I just started to meditate, just like think about where my life was at, man. Like really gut check.
Yeah.
And dude, I started to weep, man. And I started to cry out. I'm like, God, if you are real,
Yeah. This is the moment, right?
if you are real, God,
Yeah.
you need to step in. Because why do I keep doing this to myself?
Yeah.
Why do I keep hurting everybody I love? Why can't I quit this? And I said, Jesus, if you are real, you need to help me. I was literally, dude, I wanted to die. I wanted to kill myself, man.
Right.
And so I was literally at the end of my rope.
Right.
And I'm screaming at the top of my lungs, God, why? And I get off, I go home,
Yeah.
and when I walk in, the first thing that
You got this,
oh
bro.
man,
You got this,
the
bro.
first thing that Nikki did, was hug me because I wasn't dead.
Wow. More concerned about your safety. That's real love right there, buddy.
Dude.
No kidding.
And I went in, I passed out on the couch. The next day she left. She took Riley, went home to stay. Well, she went to stay with her mom's.
Yeah.
And I woke up that next morning, dude. And all I can tell you is I knew that I knew that I knew that I wasn't going to touch it again.
You know what's so funny is I say that exact statement when I went through, when I was going to commit suicide over my thing, and I know that I know that I know. I say that all the time. And what does that mean? That's it. That's the answer.
You can't explain it.
There's a before moment and after, like I'm getting goosebumps.
Yeah.
And at that moment, that's amazing. So you're like 29, 20,
At this
29?
point, I was 30.
Okay. So we had a couple of years that we're doing
Yeah.
this. Yeah, like you said, Riley was 3. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you make it past that and you make a decision. And so, like, when do you start doing, like, the worship music thing, man?
So
because after you hit that moment.
So this is crazy. There's a gap between when God healed me from this and where I finally truly surrendered. So and there was a process. And looking back, I realized God allowed me to have that little bit of a break, being clean and sober, but not really surrendering my life to Him. So after it happened, I knew it was Him.
Right.
And there was a part of me on the inside is like, you know what? I need to quit. I was going to sell all my equipment. I was blaming my instrument and guitar. And,
Sure. Yeah, 'cause it's not my fault.
no, it's got nothing to do with me.
If my guitar wasn't so dirty, I would not have this problem.
It keeps buying cocaine. I don't get it.
Right, tell it no.
So,
All right, so you're at this moment. You're about to give up the dream, the whole.
and my dad, my biological father, man,
Yeah.
steps in, and I had a front row seat. My biological dad struggled with drugs and alcohol all of his life.
Yeah.
Burned marriage after marriage after marriage. I had a front row seat to this.
Right.
And Jesus miraculously healed him in his mid-50s.
Wow, okay.
And so this had already taken place in his life.
All right.
So I'm talking to him, and I'm like, listen, Dad, I think I need to quit. And you know what he told me? He's like, no. He goes, I think what you need to do is you owe it to yourself to go after this thing now, clean and sober.
Okay.
And that made a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, all right.
Let's see what we got.
Let's see what's going to happen here. I didn't disregard God. I knew He had His hand, but I had believed at this point now that He put me here to be a rock star.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So if there was ever a moment in my life where I believe God started to turn me was the night He healed me. That's when it started.
Yeah.
So
But you still had to make the decision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 3 years went by, and as this was happening, I had 2 guys trying to get me to be in a band with them. One of which I went to school with, and he was a drummer.
Yeah.
So to make a long story short,
No, please.
okay. So we ended up, I was recording some backing tracks and just recording music with a buddy of mine. Well, they came over and they were recording music with him too.
Yeah.
And they wanted to do a little gig. So me and Dave had our own little thing, and they had their own little thing. And they're like, well, why don't you guys play with us and we'll back you up?
Yeah.
Well, when I played with them, it was a no-brainer what I was supposed to be doing. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
I need to be playing with these guys.
Wow.
And it was Dion. He'd been trying for like 2 or 3 years, but I had this drug addiction. And,
Yeah.
You know, it was a mess.
Yeah. It's amazing what happens you can't do when you're playing with a monster, right?
Oh, man, dude. You ain't lying, brother. But it was nuts, man, because we hooked up and we started to play and we started to write. And these guys were professionals, man. Like in their daily lives, you had teachers and you had production managers in Ford, and you know these guys had their stuff together,
Right.
and I didn't.
Right.
I was coming off this aftermath,
Right.
and so we started playing, and we started in the garage, and within 1 year, man, we were opening up for national bands, starting with the Machine Shop,
Right.
and then it moved down to Detroit because each of us lived in an area, so we targeted the best places in the areas that we lived in, and that band ended up within 3 years, we went from playing in the garage to opening up for Motley Crue and Godsmack at DTE.
Which is a big jump.
Dude,
Dude, let me tell you something. That is a perfect stop point. We got to stop there. When we come back, we're going to get into that part of it. If you haven't gone to spiritualwarfareunit.com and checked that out, please go and check it out. If you were looking for to help someone or to get help, go check out our life application class at spiritualwarfareunit.com. Go to YouTube, like, subscribe, and share. Dave, we'll be right back. Taking a quick break from our podcast, I wanted to let you know about our life application program that we have for churches and nonprofits in the area that are trying to find programming that they can use in case the corona shuts you down and you're not able to get in. You go to spiritualwarfareunit.com. You click on our episodes, and you can check out our programs for as little as $29.99 a month to make sure that we're still getting the word out to those people that need it. Now, back to the program. Today's show is supported by El Carafe Shrine in Clio, Michigan, and they're sponsoring a sportsman's raffle, which is held on April 23rd, 2022. Address is 4240 West Wilson Road, Clio, Michigan, 48420. It starts at noon. Ticket costs are $20 in advance, $25 at the door. One ticket gets you a shot at 100 different weapons. If you're interested in getting a ticket, please call 810-686-2641, or you can buy online at eksportsman.com. That is eksportsman.com. One ticket gets you a shot at over 100 weapons, and if you buy a booklet for $60, you get an extra ticket for a special drawing of 12 weapons or cash prizes. Please check them out online, eksportsman.com, or you can call 810-686-2641. Now back to the show.
I'll just tell you, man, it's stepping down from the church this year was.
I know that was tough, bro.
It was a tough move but what the word that was given to us was you're going to have to let go of something to gain what God has for you.
Dude, it went through the same thing, man.
It was identical, dude. And what he brought in was people that we didn't jive with. And not that there was anything wrong with them per se.
Personality differences.
Yep.
Exactly.
But what the Lord told us is he said, if you stay where you're at, you're never going to be able to release what I've given you. And we'd already been feeling it. Like, okay, we got these songs. They're heavier. They don't.
I remember you telling me.
They don't sound like anything that the modern church is producing because everybody's trying to sound the same.
Yeah.
Where we're just tapping into what God put in us, man. And when God said step down, the second we stepped down, 2 weeks later we did Kersley Park. Then all of a sudden I got hit up by Machine Gun Preacher, and it's bam, 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 bam.
Yeah. So we were just talking about some of the backstretchers and got to get those yeah. You get some of those gritty, you get those gritty vocals in there. So we were just talking about some of the music and the vibe of your music, and it's cool. And we're gonna get to that, and we might put that little back post up on there. We'll see. But we were just getting into you were for Motley Crue and Godsmack. Those are huge bands, right?
Yeah, it was a dream come true because leading up to that, like in the 3 years, it happened so quickly.
Yeah.
That after we did our first national show in Flint, and then it just snowballed. And the thing was, and I was like, man, I'm living my dream.
Right.
And I had this conversation with God. I'm like, God, if you just let me play DTE just one time.
Just one time, man. I swear.
Just let me on that stage, and I'll be happy. I'll never ask for anything again.
Yeah, and then here you are.
Here,
so there's a list.
That's a whole nother segment, but
that's awesome.
So the opportunity came, man.
And so how long was that? Like, how long did you do that?
So that band total lasted maybe, man, it seems like it lasted way longer, but looking back, it was really only 3 years, man.
But like it was a lot of work for 3 years, though, right?
It was. We did a lot of traveling, and I mean, we went to Kentucky, and we were traveling. We were playing a lot of shows in Muskegon, Lansing, Flint. We played all over Detroit, and then we played up north. I mean, but we got to a point where we weren't going to play unless it was going to be worth our time, because it gets to a point you don't say yes to everything. You just say yes to the stuff that's really, like, from a business standpoint, we were going after the things.
Right.
But yeah, it was for 3 years, and then here we are opening up for Godsmack and Motley Crue, man.
That's so awesome. And you're what, 33 at this time? 34?
Yeah.
Okay.
34, almost 35 at this point.
All right. And so You finish up this, and then how does that go to where you're at? How did that transition happen?
Within 4 months of that show,
Yeah.
I surrendered my life to Jesus. Believe it or not, I'd hit the peak of what I thought I wanted in my life.
Okay. And what did that mean, you surrendered? What did that mean to you when you said that?
Well, the day after that big gig,
yeah.
I woke up depressed, man, like empty.
Really?
And I'd realized that something was off. And I was just like, I started praying. I'm like, Lord. And I started praying this prayer daily until he spoke to me. But I was like, Lord, I was literally at a point like, if this isn't what you have for me, if I've got this wrong,
Yeah.
you need to do something. You need to speak to me.
Yeah.
Because this don't feel right. And I was just.
Do you think it was like you hit that mark and you're like, this is like, that was awesome, but it's not what I thought it was?
Right.
It was empty.
There was emptiness, and I realize now looking back, it's because I wrapped my identity around music, and I wrapped my identity around my guitar, and
Right.
there's things that God wants to fill us with that those things can't fill.
Right. Like
And-
once you click it off, then it just doesn't matter anymore.
Right.
Isn't that nuts?
It is. It really is. When you get to a place where you understand why you're here, and really it's about sonship, when that's the foundation, everything else you do is incredible.
All right.
And it's fulfilling because
Here.
because you're doing what you're meant to do, and God is at the center of it.
Right.
But God wasn't at the center of that. I was at the center of that. That was about me.
Right.
Hence end of I.
Right.
God was leading up to this.
Which
right?
brings us back to, we started with the end of I. So how did you get to that?
So what happened was, and this was crazy, man. So for the next 4 months, I'm praying this prayer, and we played a couple more shows, but I ended up doing, and I was always continuously just writing and recording. So I had people that I would go to their house, and we would just do like scratch tracks, just trying to write stuff. Mm-hmm. And I went to this one guy's house that I didn't normally go to, but I knew him from another band. Mm-hmm. And in the middle of a session, he's like, hey, and he starts talking about this other band that we know. And he said, yeah, Brett Wheeler, the singer for that band, just walked away from his band and gave his life to Jesus, man. And I was like, wow. I was like, really? Mm-hmm. So he's just kind of planting, and God used that.
Yeah, the big seed.
And I was like, wow, okay, well.
So that's possible.
So, right. So those things do happen.
So you're saying it's an option.
Right. So you're saying there is a chance.
Yeah, so you're saying there's a chance.
So about a month and a half later, it's December 24th, 2009. Mm-hmm. I'm on my way to Guitar Center. I'm a last-minute Christmas shopper, by the way.
That was clear on the sentence.
If you need any shopping tips,
Don't do it that way.
don't do it that way. But I'm on my way to Guitar Center.
Yeah.
And the thought came to mind that I knew Brent worked at Guitar Center, but it didn't click till I was on my way there.
Yeah.
And the Holy Spirit said, you need to talk to Brett. And I didn't know. I'm like, is that you, God?
Yeah,
is that me? You know,
is that a thought or is that a thing?
Right.
Yeah.
But I entertained it.
Right.
So I go to Guitar Center. I get there. And I know Brett works back in Pro Audio because that's what George had told me.
Yeah.
So I go back there and there's nobody there. I'm like, oh, okay, well. So I go to the other side of the store to get drumsticks because that's why I was there, to get drumsticks and cans for my son. Because he's young and I didn't want him to blow his ears out with his set. So I go over there and I say, yeah, I need the sticks and I need the cans. And the guy's like, okay, well, I can get you the sticks, but if you need these cans, I need to take you over to Pro Audio. So he walks me over to Pro Audio, and then sure enough, Brent is behind the counter, and the guy says, you need to talk to that guy.
Shut your mouth.
Dude, I'm just, you cannot make this stuff up, man.
Yeah,
I'm getting
right.
chills just talking about it, dude, because it's.
What are the chances, right?
So I knew then, I'm like looking up, I'm like, all right, Lord,
Now what?
you want me to talk to this guy. So I go right to him and I tell him what I need. And I'm like, how you doing, man? And then I introduce myself officially. I'm like, I'm, Jeremy from Arazi, the guitar player.
Yeah.
And so we start talking.
Yeah.
And he's like, man, I'm doing great, man. He goes, he goes, I just left my band. I just gave my life to Jesus, dude.
Yeah.
And he's sharing his testimony with me. And this is where I learned the power of sharing your testimony with someone.
Yeah.
Because his words are spirit, man. and it's just amazing. Like when people are speaking what God is speaking, how it can pierce your heart. And I'm just sitting there, and in my head, I'm going, I'm leaving my band.
Like you knew.
I could not ignore it.
Right.
So I thanked him, and at the end, I was like, "So where are you going to church?" He goes, "Oh, I run sound at the church I go to. I'm going to Faith Tabernacle."
No kidding.
And that is a church that, you know, when people just go on Easter,
Yeah.
or you know,
Yeah.
when you're flowing kind of that way,
Yeah. Christmas.
that's the church we would go to.
Yeah.
So I it was safe.
Like
to
you clicked the mark.
Yeah. So like if
Checkbox.
so it was safe to say that if I was ever going to give my life to the Lord, that's the church we would have gone to, and that's the church he's running sound at.
No kidding.
So that hit me on top of everything.
Yeah. Right.
So I walk out of the store, man. I get in my car and I surrender my life to the Lord right there,
So you got your neon sign.
dude. That's hi.
Yeah.
And that was it. That was the moment. I went home, told my wife, her jaw dropped, because everyone that knew me knew that the band was the most important thing to me. I had strived for 3 years,
Yeah.
and we had built something, man.
Yeah.
But it was built on flesh, man. It wasn't built. It wasn't built.
And when you get there and it's empty, it's like, what was the point?
Yeah.
You know? All right, man. That is such an awesome story. This is why I want to have you on. But now we're on to our gem session. And I know during these sections, you had to have some funny things that happened. So share with the crowd a little bit.
Man, anytime God is leading you in a direction and you know he's telling you to do something and you run from it, it's comical. To some degree. The fact that you think you can what's
I
bad.
can run away.
I can run away. It worked for Jonah. No, it really didn't.
Yeah.
He still ended up.
He's got a
doing-
fish. It's like,
But I remember, and I have several stories, but the two that come to mind, one for sure, like within the first year, I was going to get to this. I've always struggled with public speaking. So like when I was in my band, we played in front of thousands of people, dude.
Yeah.
And I was okay with being behind my
you're
guitar.
literally hiding behind the guitar,
Yeah.
right?
And it's like breathing to me, man.
Yeah.
But to get behind a microphone
Yeah.
and to speak or even attempt to sing or anything, I was not. I had no desire, and it was not in my cards.
Sure. Yeah.
So I figured, okay, we're a year into this. I'd given my life to the Lord, and I'm really feeling like, okay, maybe I need to give my testimony now, because I seen other people doing it, and the Lord just started to work on my heart a little bit.
Yeah.
So I got this really good idea. I'm like, okay, my grandfather goes to a church up in Saginaw. There's like 10 people there.
We're gonna.
I'm going there.
Yeah.
So
the fail rate is so low.
Yeah, so I set the bar extremely high.
I want to be able. I want to be able to trip over the sucker. That's awesome.
So I concocted the idea. I called my aunt. I set it up for like 3 months out, so I had time to meditate on this.
Yeah.
And then, and my wife can tell you this. 2 days later, we come home from somewhere, and we have an answer, or there's a message on our answering machine. We hit it, and it's my pastor from Faith Tabernacle. He's like, "Hey, hey, Jeremy, I just want to let you know, we had a meeting, and your name came up. We were wondering if you'd want to give your testimony on Easter Sunday
In front of everyone.
So I'm,
Yeah.
my heart sank because Easter Sunday was like 2 weeks away. So, dude, you can't make this
Hold
stuff
on
up.
a minute. So you got this plan for a spit, and he's like, no.
He's like, I'm gonna rip. God's way with me was I'm just gonna rip the Band-Aid off.
So what you're saying is if you would have had a piece of charcoal, you would have been able to make a diamond in that moment. It's what I'm hearing.
I'd be rich right now, man. I'd
That'd have been 100 carats right there.
guaranteed.
Dude, your face. Oh, it had to have been priceless.
Dude, it's like, dude, I
the
can't
only
even-
answer is dude.
dude. So, to make a long story short, I started to go, oh, you know, how bad can it be, man? You know,
it can be bad.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So come he had me write it out, so that way I'd just be reading off a paper, which was good. It was my
Yeah.
first time doing it.
Yeah.
But it's Easter Sunday at Faith Tabernacle, and they just dropped from 2 services to 1 huge service.
So it's everyone.
Dude, you're talking almost 1,000
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And you wanted 10.
Yeah. See, And I learned something. God's like, no, we're not doing it that way.
Yeah.
You've been living this way with this fear way too long.
Yeah. Time to go.
But I will tell you, I did it. And dude,
And then?
it was amazing because two things. A girl ran up and gave her life to the Lord based on that testimony, man, of being delivered from drugs. One. Two, I went back and I cried to my wife because a weight that I had been carrying my whole life, dude. It just lifted.
The rock was gone. That's so
Dude,
awesome.
I'm serious, man. So what ended up happening, God was setting the stage to put me in front of a microphone and I did not know it.
Right. You already
So-
had the 2 turntables. You just needed the microphone.
Dude, that's
And then that was it. After that, there's no fear, right? You're like, I don't.
Well, I'll tell you what, it opened me up to the possibility now, okay, I can do more.
So it took a minute.
It did.
Okay.
And I still struggled. And I still struggled. Probably that first 5 or 6 years really struggled because once the Lord said, okay, I want you to lead worship, there was a huge struggle there, dude, because I fought the fear of just getting up. And here's the thing. He asked me to do it, and I don't know how to sing. And all I know is how to play guitar. I've never sang and played ever.
Wow.
Ever.
Wow.
And he's telling me, you need to do this. You need to do this. And when I finally said yes and the door opened, within 2 months, I could play and sing one song.
Shut your mouth.
Like
That fast.
that fast.
Man.
That's how I knew God was in it, right?
Man.
But
Hold on.
Go ahead.
So we're going to have to take a break right there. And when we get back, we're going to get into the worship stuff. We're going to get into your type of the music. We're going to get into the sound, that grit, baby. And we're going to be hitting that in just a second. So if you haven't gone to YouTube, like, share, and subscribe at Spiritual Warfare Unit. We will be right back. That's why he's got 4 kids. All right, welcome back to the Warrior's Way. I'm here with Jeremy Riley, and we were just finishing up his story about how he got into doing from sitting, hanging out, to his brother's couch, to marriage, to rock starship, to finding out worship, and doing worship music, and actually being petrified of being in front of people. And within 2 months, you're singing. So
Yeah.
a life fear.
Yeah.
Within 2 months, and it's like, it's go time.
Yep.
Wow. All right. So how long did you do that? How long were you doing worship?
Well,
Like there.
I was just playing guitar for the first 2 years. He opened that door and made it clear to lead. And then once I started leading, it was, man. And I still lead now, but I do less Sunday morning and way more event type stuff. So like that's went on now for about 10 years. He only let me play guitar for 2 years, man, before he actually got
Enough's
me behind
enough.
the microphone. And that just as I started to get comfortable, really getting my niche and to worship guitar and really getting spread around playing with all these different worship leaders and people. And God gave me opportunities to really release that more aggressive sound.
Yeah.
So he was gearing me up to learn this
Yeah.
and then put me out there as a worship leader.
Okay.
It was in steps. Looking back, it was
Yeah,
cool, man.
and he never gives you it all at once, man. The beauty part is that he gives it in steps. And the thing that sucks is he gives it to you at steps, right? Certain steps are like, oh, I got this. And other ones are like, I don't want to go.
Dude,
Right?
yeah. Dude.
So you're sitting there fighting all of those, and you're able to. Now, when did you start the band? When did that happen? End of I.
So End of I, every time I've used the name with I've had several different groups over the last 6 years of people God has brought in my path
Gotcha.
to play with me.
Yeah.
And I think it developed mostly when I was the worship leader for the youth group because we had kids coming in that could play, man. I mean, really
Wow.
talented kids. So like every year I had a new group. And once we had like a solid group, man, people would say, hey, can you come here and do this? And every time we went, it was under End of I because I knew God wanted to use it.
Right.
And
So where do people go to hear the sound, man? What is it? Where do they go to get it?
so now it's been very sporadic. Because I've stepped away from the Sunday morning worship,
Yeah.
it's just whatever opportunities open up and God has given us. I mean, this whole summer is going to be stacked, but right now we're doing Free Indeed, the Celebrate Recovery on Tuesday nights.
Yeah.
Once a month. And we're
Where are
getting
you
ready.
doing that at?
Center Point Church.
Okay.
And that's at 6 p.m.
What day is that?
On Tuesday.
On Tuesdays. Okay.
And they got Life Challenge coming. It's a huge crowd, man. And Jim Corbin is the leader there.
Yeah.
And he is the worship leader there, but he's bringing us in once a month to come in and release our sound. He lets us come in and set up and set it up the way, the way that we want to do it.
Yeah,
together.
so I know you got a couple songs, right?
Yes, I do.
All right. Tell me about the stories about these songs.
Okay, so I got So Alive, and then there's Freedom. So Alive.
Hold on. Where do we find those at? Where can people
Okay.
get them, buy them? That's what I want to know.
EndOfEyeMusic.com is probably the best place because you can purchase them right off the website.
And
but
it's End of Eyes and like little eye.
yeah.
Okay. All right. Sorry. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, EndOfEyeMusic.com is the website. But if you prefer to purchase from Apple, it's on all platforms. All the links
Okay.
to get them other places is on the website.
All right. So you guys always have a story when it comes to your song. So let's hear it. We got time for a couple. So give me
Okay.
your favorite first.
Okay, so Alive, man.
So Alive.
Yeah, that was one of the first 3 songs the Lord gave me after I became a worship leader, when I actually started writing full songs, lyrics,
singing
and all.
now.
Yeah.
Okay.
At this point, and it has everything to do with my experience of transitioning from walking away from my old life into this new life, and understanding that it's not about me,
Yeah.
but understanding that God revealed I have more for you, man, and that's
Right.
man, it's hard to talk about this stuff sometimes.
Punches you in the chest.
Oh,
don't it?
dude, and it just comes and
And
goes.
all of that emotion through your stories in this song. That's why
is.
it's called So Alive. Because when you got done with that rock thing, you woke up in the morning, you were empty.
Yeah.
And then you do this, which should be lesser and it's more.
Yeah.
So you're trying to explain that in this song?
Yeah, because
That's
like,
awesome,
dude,
man.
the opening lyrics in the verse is, even when I could not see, you still had a plan for me. When my life was upside down, you turned me around, King of Glory.
Boom.
I'm alive in you,
Boom.
dude. And it keeps on going. You'll have to hear the song.
Yeah, well, check it out, bro.
But yeah, so that is like my coming out song, man. From what
That's
from
like
my testimony.
That's like your anthem.
It is. It really is.
Like your boombox on your shoulder
dude,
back in the day, man.
Absolutely, man.
Stonewashed.
But yeah,
Got the Jordan sound.
and then and then freedom, man. It's amazing how this process, God peels layers off. I know people want to say that God just you give your life to Jesus and boom, you're good.
Yeah, it's not my experience.
No, and it's not mine either, man. We are a new creation from the
Like
inside.
Shrek says, we're like onions. We have layers.
Dude, and I relate to that.
Yeah, right?
I receive that. It's from glory to glory, which proves that it's a process.
Right.
It's not just one glory. Boom.
So the second one is the freedom is about freedom from those things. As
Well, actually, the freedom that I experienced when I really received my identity in Christ.
so your identity wasn't your guitar. Your identity was who you are. and what he made you to be.
Yeah. So now, but it took me some years, man, even as a Christian, to
Sure.
get to that place to really receive it, because God was dealing with one thing at a time.
Right.
But when we got to that point, and I was able, that aha moment,
Right.
like, I get it now. I don't have to look to the left or the right. I'm not here to impress people. It's the audience of one, and He is my focus. It's not a performance. I'm a son, man.
Right.
And when you walk from that place, dude, more chains come off.
Right.
Because now it doesn't matter what people think. I'm not here to impress people.
Right.
I'm just simply saying yes to the call God has in my life. And if He says sing, even though I don't feel comfortable doing it, I do it.
Right. Because
And
he's going to provide the path.
And
right.
he will.
Yeah, and then the piece is there.
It is.
Like you sit there, like if I try to explain this. Well, how did you plan this? I'm like, what are you talking about? What do you mean? What I planned?
What is that?
Yeah, we're talking about practice, man. Practice.
I was just thinking that too, man. Practice?
Yeah, it was like I went into this and I learned through my problem. Like I was in a car accident, right? And one of 8 people who's ever had the injury. No one's ever come back functional. I'm the only one.
Are you serious, man?
Yeah, it's a great story. We don't have time for it today because we have a better one today.
Wow,
but,
man.
But I come back and I have to be in quiet areas and I can only go out for so long and all that stuff. And the word that God uses is impossible. So it's impossible. It's impossible to drive again. It's possible to work again. It's possible. I had one of my doctors say it's impossible for you to be a functional help to society, which meant you're an anchor to society,
Wow.
right? And I was like, wow, no, like that's not the answer. And so when I decided that my favorite thing to do is to help people, and God gave me this idea, well, I'll help people that help people. And then I know that I know that I know, right?
That's right,
And
man.
that everything's working in that way. And then when other people are like, "Wow, I don't like this or I don't like," it's like that's cool. That's like one of the options, man. You're
Wow.
allowed to not like it,
Right.
And it's like that's cool. I respect your decision. And I remember I said that with somebody like, "You can't do that," and I'm like, "Sure I can." Pretty sure I just did. I respect your decision that we disagree. I'm okay with that. You can't. It's like no, you're supposed to fight, and I'm like, I don't really feel like doing that. It's weird. And after that aha moment, and you're moving into that, and then God uses the things that you would have never done,
Right.
or you didn't have the ability to do,
Right.
and all of a sudden, it just comes out, and it's like, man, that was actually pretty fun.
Yeah.
Like I really enjoy that. And in doing this is why I do the show, because Jeremy, your story, you're just a regular person who did regular stuff, who went through a difficulty, made some mistakes like everybody else, made a decision to survive those negatives, and God provided a positive that came out of that. And that's just the story. It's
is.
just what it is, man.
is,
And I am so glad that you came on here. I look forward to having you on again, and
Thank you, man.
having people come and check out your music. Now, we had a couple events that you were talking about on June 11th. You said it was Biker Fest?
Yeah.
Talk about that a little bit.
Okay, so Bike Fest, and that, again, when we stepped down leading worship from our church, these opportunities just started to come out, and we got to do a service with the machine gun preacher who came to the biker church in Lennon.
Yeah, so that's the dude that was on that TV. That
He's got a movie. Gerard Butler played him in it.
Yeah.
So
okay.
So we connected with that church through that event, and then they're like, listen, we got to have you guys back. We're doing Bike Fest in June, and it's a big event where bikers from all over the place come, and they have a huge stage outside, dude. And I mean, these guys are amazing. Like their discipleship, their ability to disciple, and their knowledge of the word is blown me away, man. And their love for one another. And these guys have been huge supporters of us, man. And we haven't even known them that long.
Right.
But they brought us on to be part of Bike Fest, and it's supposed to be a big event. And it's going to be an all-day thing. There's going to be more than one band. I think the Chosen Band is going to be playing, and then we're going to be playing after them.
And where's that at?
That's in Lennon, Michigan, at Victory Biker Church.
Victory Biker Church. Boy, I better write that down.
June 11th.
Victory what?
Biker Church.
Biker. So it's literally called Victory Biker Church. Cool. All right, and then you got something in Clio going on July, right?
Yep. So it's I think they're calling it the Family Fun Day. It's
That's
at
right.
Pine Hill Activity Center in Clio, and it's going to be an all-day event for families, and bring your kids, hay rides, bounce houses, food, and then from 6 to 9 they're having us play a 3-hour set.
All right, and do you have like a community calendar on your website?
I do have, and I will update it.
All right, also send those dates for ours, and we'll have
I
our guy
will.
posted on ours as well.
Okay.
And his website was endofimusic.com. If you want to go check out Jeremy's music on there, I'm pretty sure we'll be posting a podcast on there. So if you missed any of this, you can see it again. You did awesome, my friend. It was so
Thank
exciting to have you on here. If you haven't gone to the Spiritual Warfare Unit on YouTube, like, share, and subscribe. If you need some help in your everyday life, go to spiritualwarfareunit.com, click on Struggling, and we appreciate you coming out, and we will see you next week. Do you have a nonprofit in your area that's doing a lot of work that people should know about? Feel free to contact Spiritual Warfare Unit at 810-715-9319, and we would love to have them on to see what good they're doing in the community and find out their story. Thank you so much.
Now my life will never be the same. You love me too this way.